Biggest transfer portal mistakes. The transfer portal can save a season. It can fix a quarterback room, rebuild a defense, add instant speed, and turn a good roster into a playoff threat. But here's the problem. The portal can also wreck a program fast. Because for every transfer who changes everything, there's one who never fits, never starts, never develops, or who quietly disappears by October. Today on Gridiron Intel, we're talking about the biggest portal mistakes. Not just bad players, bad strategy, bad evaluations, bad roster management, bad panic moves. So let's get into it. The first mistake is chasing names instead of fit. This happens every cycle. A former 5-star hits the portal and everybody loses their mind. The highlight tape looks great. The recruiting ranking still sounds impressive. The fan base gets excited, but then he lands in a system that doesn't match his skill set. A quarterback who needs structure goes into a chaos offense. A receiver who needs touches joins a crowded room. A linebacker who thrived downhill gets asked to cover in space. And suddenly, the big name becomes a bad fit. The portal isn't about collecting headlines. It's about solving problems. Mistake number 2, ignoring the locker room. Every transfer is not just a roster addition. It's a chemistry addition. If a coach brings in too many outsiders and hands them jobs immediately, returning players notice. The guys who stayed, lifted, practiced, and waited their turn to start asking questions. That doesn't mean you avoid the portal. That would be crazy. But if you build a whole program on rentals, you better be ready for the culture cost, because the portal can add talent, but it can also create resentment. Mistake number 3, panic buying a quarterback. This is a big one. Quarterback is the most important position in the sport, so programs get desperate. They see a shaky spring game or a young quarterback who isn't ready, and suddenly they're throwing everything at the biggest portal name available. But new does not always mean better. Sometimes the portal quarterback has a bigger arm, but worse command. Sometimes he wins the offseason and loses the locker room. Sometimes he has stats, but not the processing speed to survive better defenses. A bad portal quarterback doesn't just miss. He drags an entire offense down with him. Mistake number 4, forgetting about offensive line and defensive line. Fans love portal quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs, but playoff football is still decided up front. If you spend your portal budget on cash, players, and ignore the trenches, you're building a sports car with no tires. It might look good in August, but it won't hold up in November. The best portal teams don't just chase skill talent. They find tackles, they find pass rushers, they find defensive linemen who can play real snaps. That's how you survive. Mistake number 5, taking too many one-year fixes. Sometimes a veteran transfer is exactly what a team needs. But if every solution is short-term, you're not building a program. You're renting one. That works for a year if everything hits. But if the chemistry is off, the quarterback misses, or the schedule gets brutal, now you're stuck with no development pipeline and a roster full of exits. The portal should be supporting recruiting. It should not replace it. A smart program uses the portal like a weapon. The desperate programs use it like a life raft. And that's the difference. Mistake number 6, assuming production always translates. A player can dominate at one level and struggle at the next. The speed changes, the bodies change, the playbook changes, the pressure changes. That 1,000-yard receiver might not separate against SEC corners. That group of 5 pass rusher might not win against elite tackles. That quarterback with monster stats might not have the same windows against playoff defenses. Production matters, but context matters more. So what's the big takeaway? The transfer portal is not magic. It's evaluation under pressure. You have to know what you need. You have to know who fits. You have to know your locker room. You have to keep recruiting high school players. And you have to remember that the biggest portal win is not always the flashiest name. It's the player who fixes the exact problem your roster had. That's why some programs reload through the portal while other guys get burned by it. Same tool, different results. Subscribe to Gridiron Intel for more college football recruiting, transfer portal, quarterback battles, and playoff coverage. Drop a comment below. What is the biggest portal mistake a program can make? Thanks for watching.